Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, live from Fallujah. Just kidding. It is 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for a people to dissolve the political bonds which tie them to another, decency demands that we give a listing of the reasons why we dissolve those bands. That is in the preamble of the Declaration of the United States. It goes on to say, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to this end, we establish governments to protect those rights. When such form of government ceases to protect those rights any longer, it is prudent that men should overthrow that government and establish a form of government which does indeed derive the rights, derive its powers from the people, and then protect those rights. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, that is the foundational document upon which our nation was formed and forged. Happy birthday, America. God bless the United States. Stars and bars, stripes forever. Stars and stripes forever. That's it. But hey, we are playing Conflict of Nations, wherein we are seeking to bring law and order, peace in our time, to the map. Cheers and thank you for joining me once again. We will start with Austria. I am pouring myself a delicious drink. You may be able to hear in the background fireworks going off, celebrating this great day in our nation's history of its founding. Indeed. It's one of my favorite holidays. I ain't gonna lie. I like Independence Day. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty fucking awesome. All right, but we're going to start here in, they took Tangiers. Good. We're going to start here in Algeria. And what we're doing in Algeria, this is where I wanted to talk about the principle of asymmetric risk. So this is, let me give a heads up of what's going on in Algeria. Poor Morocco. Not Algeria. I'm sorry. The map is. The map is not Algeria. The map is. Where are we going to land? We're going to land right here. Casablanca. The map is Austria, is where we're working on. Okay, so this is what we've got. We started here in Austria, which on this map, Austria, the world map, single speed map. Let's get my face off of this. Hi, cheers, chat. Cheers, chat. How you doing? Moose Gal. I am fantastic. How are you, my lady? Good to see you, Moose Gal. Good to see you. Cheers to Moose Gal. Look, I can type. You missed my extemporaneous recitation of fireworks. My extemporaneous recitation of the Declaration of the preamble and first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. I do not have that written down. I do, in fact, have it memorized. I recite it every year for 4th of July. It is one of my favorite pieces of writing. And in fact, last year, not last year, a few years back, when they were having that issue with, I think it went all the way back to the Obama administration when they had the refugees, asylum seekers just piling up at the border, and the question was whether or not we're going to allow them to enter in, and I'm like, I was arguing with somebody, telling them that it is a basic civil human right that they be given a hearing and that they be allowed in, and that's like the foundation on what this country is based on. And they were arguing back that only citizens have rights. I'm like, that is not what this country was founded on. This country was founded on the fact that all men are created equal, not citizens are created equal, but all men are created equal. And that includes people who aren't citizens. They have rights too. We extend those same rights to aliens in this country as they did in the Bible, as we do basic American principle. Basic American principle. All men are created equal, and all men are endowed with basic and inalienable rights, not citizens. And I am glad to say that this argument that we had several years later, I heard him saying the exact same things to somebody else, which tells me that I actually got through to somebody once. That was nice. It was very cool. Anywho, that said, okay, so let's go back to this map. This is the Austrian map. Austria is a little country right here, situated just south and east of Germany, north and east of Italy, and east of Switzerland, south and west of Czech Republic and Slovakia. Boom, there's Austria. Right next to Hungary. If you may remember back in middle school and high school, you learned about the Austro-Hungarian Empire from World War I that caused issues down here in the Balkans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This position is a position that should not survive past 5 days on this map. It is day 15. We are doing nicely for ourselves. We are currently in, I think, 4th place on the map. Where are we at? We are 1, 2, 3, 4th place on the map. So we're doing nicely for ourselves. I'm satisfied with how things are going right now. So initially in the game, we went and took Switzerland, we went and took Hungary, we took Slovenia, we took Czechia, we took Slovakia, then Ukraine attacked us and Poland attacked us, and we took out, me and Germany took out Poland and Ukraine. Belarus was in the way. Unfortunately, they got cleaned up by us and Germany. Our alliance is currently France, Germany, Romania. Romania joined the alliance and consolidated the Balkans and went and took care of Turkey. And then I went down and took care of Italy. Germany got a little bit involved with the Italian campaign. And then France and Germany took care of the Great White North up here. And speaking of the Great White North, we also have our friends over here in the United States, who has nicely consolidated North America, or at least the northern part of North America between Canada and the United States, and appears to be moving down into Mexico to consolidate the Americas. That's really good for us because as an alliance, we need to get 5,920 points. And that is just an open farmland of points to be able to harvest at his desire. Africa is also an open farmland of points to harvest at our desire. And for some inexplicable reason, Algeria declared war on me. So then I went and attacked Libya so that I could get into Algeria. All of his ports were gone. So I attacked Libya. And as I'm attacking in Libya, Morocco decides they want to get involved over here in Libya as well. So you can see on the map, the brown here is Libya, the red here is Morocco. I am the light colored, what is that, kind of peach color, I guess. So what we've done, and this is the principle of asymmetrical risk that I wanted to talk about. So I came in here and I attacked in Libya, and I moved across the coast here. I moved across the coast from west to east, taking out as much of Libya as I can. Basically their entire production is shot to hell. They have Tunis, they have Benghazi, and between the two, this produces supplies, and this produces electronics. They don't have enough resources to produce anything. They're shot. They're done. They're finished. It's just a matter of mopping them up. But as I was attacking and cleaning up Libya, Morocco decided to attack. Took all my gains. So this is how this attack progressed. They attacked me here. I was able to bulk up my units in Tripoli. As they start moving towards me, I retreated. I went from Tripoli to Misrata and eventually retreated all the way to Sirte. And while they were attacking me, they came through here. They attacked. They moved in. They took Tripoli. They took Misrata. I had retreated all the way to Sirte. I took a couple of tank units and an infantry unit, and I marched my way through central Algeria and southern Morocco, came down here, turned my forces from this province here up north, and went through here and attacked them, boom, right in their capital. And this is the principle of asymmetrical risk. They thought I gave a shit. They thought I gave a shit about these cities that I had taken here on the coast with Libya. I didn't care about these cities. These cities meant nothing to me. But he had bulked his forces up over here, and I was fairly relaxed. Let him come. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. And eventually he got so out of position over there that his capital was completely and totally vulnerable. Meanwhile, all of my important cities are up here. All of my important cities are up here at the top of the map in Austria. So I was able to bulk up my forces, send them down here, and really put a hurt on him. And now, right now, we're just kind of playing this little rope-a-dope game. He's got this force here. He's chasing this tank here, and I've got a bunch of tanks coming to meet me in Casablanca. He's about to get fucked. He's about to get fucked hard. He doesn't know it yet, but he's got 6 tanks that are about to turn around and bust him in the chops. He's going to lose Fez as soon as my infantry commander and a couple of tanks and some infantry move up into Fez. He's going to lose this city. Once he loses this city, I'm going to take Tangiers back. And this is his last 3 homeland cities. And it's important to remember in this game, in Conflict of Nations, the only important cities in your entire country are your homeland cities and your annexed cities. You cannot build units in occupied cities. The occupied cities are nice to have, but they don't do anything except give you resources, which are great. But they cost you resources to take. They cost you resources to hold. Once they've assimilated and they're not going to rebel anymore, they don't cost you resources. But this city, it has an army base and a hospital. He can't build anything except recon units in this city for armor. This city has an air base, and that's it. And he's going to lose that city after I take Casablanca from him. So we're playing this little game here. Rabat was his capital. I took it. He took it back, and now I've taken it back from him. He doesn't have an army. This is his army up here. This is his entire army. So the principle in strategic games like this of asymmetric risk is, I think I coined that phrase. I'm going to say that I coined that phrase. That principle is simply, oh, hello, 35%. Damn, they're giving the discounts. Woo. The principle of asymmetric risk is simply, I'm not risking anything when I attack him, and he's risking everything by defending, by counterattacking me when I'm attacking way over there in the frontier. A lot of people look at these maps and they look at these games and they mistake, when they look at the map, they mistake the borders of the country. They mistake the country as a set of borders. These positions, these countries are not a set of borders. You look at Russia. It's this big blob of red over here in the upper right-hand corner of the map. Russia is not a big blob of red. Russia is a bunch of cities over here on the left side of that blob. A handful of cities in the middle that don't really matter, but there's a bunch of cities over here on the left. When you look at France, France is that little blue blob there, and all their cities are there. But you look at, here's another perfect example. Indonesia, this smear of purple across the southern end of Asia. That's not Indonesia. That's all of Indonesia's land. Indonesia is, we'll scroll across that smear of purple. Indonesia, their territory starts here in Saudi Arabia. They smear all the way across India, all the way across Southeast Asia, all the way down into the islands of Indonesia proper in the Philippines. But all this shit doesn't matter. What matters is right here. That's their capital. That's their capital. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one, that's an occupied city. That city doesn't even matter. How about this one? That's a homeland city. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cities. That is Indonesia. 7 cities. And if you take half dozen destroyers, maybe a cruiser or two, and a couple of infantry units, drop them right there on Jakarta, he is just fucked. His empire is gone. All these far-flung occupied cities that he has all over the map, all the regions that he has, everything is gone. It goes up in flames. It goes into rebellion. It goes into revolt, and he loses it. Same thing happened over here to my boy in Morocco. When I took his capital, when I took the capital of Morocco, he lost this city. He lost, oh no, he still has that city. It is at 9%. He's about to lose that city, or he has to hold a garrison on that city. He lost this city. He lost this city. What other cities did he lose? Did he lose that one? He did not lose Constantine. He never had Constantine. He almost lost that city, but I think he had to put down a garrison to keep it. But when the morale in your cities goes down, the resources that you get in your cities goes down. So where was it? Where was the one that he didn't lose that he should have lost? This one. Nalut. It's earning only 122 electronics instead of the full amount of electronics that it should. It is earning, according to this little info screen here, show it, 25% of its proper production. And he very likely will lose that city very soon. So that's the benefit. That's the principle. You make that principle of asymmetric risk, and it also plays into our next principle that I'm going to talk about in the next map of castle defense and where you should deploy your resources. So I've got my tanks coming in to meet me here in Casablanca. They will be joining me in probably like six hours, like forever. Yeah, it's midnight. Oh shit, they're gonna join me in like 20 hours. Jesus Christ, it's gonna take forever. I may sit there and just wait in Casablanca because it's gonna take less than 20 hours for him to meet me. They may get redirected up here to Tangier when these units come in from the frontier. He doesn't know where they're coming from yet. He will as soon as they're in his territory. He's going to know they're coming. But this is also a stronger force at 222 hit points than his entire army, and his defense against infantry, mostly infantry units. His defense against infantry units is actually pretty good at 27.3, but my attack on infantry units is 34.5. So his is mostly an infantry army. And his 27.3 defense will be met with my 34.5 offense. And my defense of 52.2 and 41.8 against his armor. His armor attack is his armor attack is only 6.3. So, and his infantry attack is only 16. So he is, as soon as these armies meet, he's done for. You know, we can play this little rope-a-dope game where I go around his cities and he follows me and takes them back. But as soon as I catch up to him with this force, he's done. He's finished. And then I'll turn back around and take the land, the actual territory that I need to finish him off. So, like I said, with this particular map, I thought this game would go about 60 turns, 60 days, which would put this into August. I don't know. I think it may go longer. It may go 70. It may go another, hell, it may go 80. It may go to the end of August, the early. So we'll see. I mean, I'm going to keep trying to do a weekly show. I'm not going to do a weekly this week because we're going out of town tomorrow. Family summer vacation, going campsites and national forests and KOAs all across the country. KOA, feel free to sponsor us. I will have Tales from the Road when I get back, and it'll be great. And we will see how that goes. But for now, so he's coming for Rabat. He's going to take it. I'm going to give it to him. I don't care. Hopefully, here's what would really be cool if Rabat goes to the rebels. If Rabat goes into rebellion, goes to the rebels, and then, in fact, I'm gonna take this next, and then make my way over to here. And I'm going to tell my guys to hit that last city together. Yeah, because I got a bunch of tanks on their way. 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks. It's not 6, it's 4 that are about to go right up his pooper. He's not going to like that, but it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. We'll just go to here. You good? Come on. There you go. 23 hours. And meanwhile, he gets there in 9. That's fine. He's going to have to come all the way through here. And hopefully, see, here's the hope. Since this is all he's got, I'm going to take these from him. And hopefully, they go into full rebellion. And the rebel state takes over just like they did in this city. And then he has to go through rebel state insurgents to get his city back, which is going to sap the strength out of his stack. I'll use the insurgency to my benefit. Then when he defeats the insurgents and he moves through the city, I'll just sweep through and take it back and pacify it myself. Bum, bum, bum. Check. Mate, my friend. Okay. So that's what's going on in Algeria. It's like I said, it's a fairly quiet map. But this little adventure down in Libya, you see, I take the approach of a fairly minimalist invasion. I don't build up a giant force and then attack. I kind of attack with the tip of a spear and then follow up with this overwhelming wave of reinforcements as we kind of go through. I want to see your moves. So I'll throw the bait in the water, see what you do to counterattack, and then I'll counterattack that. We have, for what it's worth, started the attack on Russia. Their entire, we've been scouting their forces for days now. They didn't have anything here in the east. This whole alliance is a bunch of paper tigers. This Russian alliance, the Eurasian Pact, is 4 players. They don't seem to be particularly experienced. They don't appear to really know what they're doing. It's Russia, China, Indonesia, and Australia. And it seems like the only players that really know what they're doing is China and Indonesia. And they may be the only players that are particularly active. Indonesia's first place right now on this map. Oops, that's backwards. Indonesia is currently first place. He is a rank 79 sergeant major. So he seems to know what he's doing. Australia is a rank 46 sergeant first class. I don't know if he knows what he's doing, but he's at war with the United States right now. I'm guessing something to do with Hawaii or something out there. These guys are all high-ranked players. but you can be a high ranked player and not know what the fuck you're doing. Um, so I'm not I'm not giving them I'm not gonna give them credit yet until I can see that they actually know what they're doing. Russia's probably the lowest ranked. It ranked 47. Um, nope, ranked 46 is the lowest of them all. So I mean, you know, Russia made a strategic mistake over here because he doesn't have anything over here in the east. You know, he's full on like forgetting asymmetrical risk. Like we're not risking anything over here. When we attack Russia, we ain't got nothing at risk because he's got to go through all this land, all this territory to get to anything that's worth a shit. All my main cities are out here. All Germany's are over here. Romania's are over here. France is way the hell on the other side of us. He's got to cross a whole ocean to get to the United States. He hasn't left any defenses back here. None. Not a single one. He's off over here fighting with Kazakhstan and whatnot. We can take him completely and totally out of this game in a matter of days before he can get all of his forces turned around and turned back to us. He doesn't have any garrisons. He doesn't have nothing. Not a thing. At least over here, if he attacked us, it would take him a few days to work his way through all this territory. And by the time he worked his way through the territory, we could raise our defenses. But, they launched this attack this morning. They've already taken Moscow. They've already taken Moscow. There's St. Petersburg already fallen. It looks like he has ships that are shelling St. Petersburg. What the hell is he going to do? He's got one unit and a ship. That's it. We take the city. That plane doesn't have anywhere to land. They don't have anywhere to land. All we gotta do is take out the ship, and that's it. Well, Moscow hadn't fallen. I thought Moscow had already fallen. But all these cities are gonna go. They're all gonna fall by the end of the day. And this attack was launched this afternoon, about 3 hours ago. So this is a home. I think that's his farthest homeland city away from Moscow. Is that a city? That's an occupied city. So that's the farthest homeland city until you get to the other side of the map where you have, is that a city? Yeah. Novosibirsk. But that produces fuel. He's not going to be able to produce units if he just has that. And then Vladivostok, of course, is way out here on the and that's another fuel producing city. He has like 10 homeland cities, but once he loses these out here, the main ones, and as soon as Moscow falls, like he's got no production. So asymmetrical risk. It's all about that. If you can push your opponent into an asymmetrical risk situation, then he is fucked. Because you risk nothing when you attack these guys. You're risking absolutely nothing. Like in a few turns, when I build up my navy and I sail around the Horn of Africa or through the Suez Canal, and I go over and poke Jakarta in the eye, I'm risking absolutely nothing because Indonesia will have to literally traverse the entire map to get back at me for doing what I did. And I will have risked absolutely nothing, and I will have taken down the number one position on the map. So we're going to stop sharing that screen for now. Everything is relatively quiet in the realm of Austria. I have all my build orders in. I have my research orders in. I have my move orders in. Everything right now is focused on taking down Morocco, building up a force in Africa, and just tearing collective assholes into the because that is going to be that's just going to be a ripe field of harvestable victory points. Because once I break through the that northern area, it's just going to be smooth sailing. And that's, let's see here. I need to build, there's somebody outside right now launching off firework after firework after firework after firework after firework. And it's just been going off now for just a couple. I don't know if you can pick it up, if it's being picked up on the microphone, but it is. Wow. A lot. And one, y'all can't see this. I'm in the background over here, about to put in one more order of tanks into the build queue, to tack onto the back of everything else. So I'm going to focus on a little bit of economics right now. In Austria, a little bit of economics right now in Austria. All that stuff's going to come together, and then we will let the machine. I've a chance that I'm going to a 4 hour. Won't be back on the hill late tomorrow night, so I kind of have to have everything running in the background. So now we go to Virginia, and what nonsense is happening in Texas. Oh, he does have several. Good, get out of there. Come on, let's go. All right. Actually, I don't know if I want. Yeah, I do. I want him to get the fuck out of Austin. Okay, so this is exciting. I will tell you how this is exciting and why this is exciting in a moment. First off, let's refresh. Let's recap the map and tell you what all is going on here. So this is the Virginia map. It is the North America map. It goes from the Panama Canal up to central latitudes of Canada. I am Virginia, so I started off obviously in Virginia. You know where the state of Virginia is. It's just south of Washington, D.C., just south of Maryland, just north of North Carolina. Oh, good. I'm off the map. Good. So first thing was first. Took Washington, took Maryland, moved into West Virginia, or took North Carolina. Then I moved into West Virginia, and then South Carolina. Then I saw some weird things going on down here in the South. Texas had moved through Florida, or first Texas had landed things on the Gulf Coast, and taken some territory on the Gulf Coast, which I thought was weird because that would have required an amphibious landing. And usually the first thing that you research is infantry, regular mechanized infantry, not get them. Can I get them? Will they not let me get them? I don't think they'll let me get them. That's fine. Okay. I was trying to get them at the ferry crossing. Anyway, so I thought that was weird. And then, as I'm taking the territory down here, I got trapped inside of Florida's territory, and they gave me rite of passage. And I thought that was, I noticed that Texas also had rite of passage. I asked him, does Texas have rite of passage? He said, yeah, thinks he's a nice guy. Texas is a level 1 player. Florida was like a level, I don't know, 30 something player. He was the next highest ranking player behind me at the time. And I thought that was odd that would be something that would happen. So I waited a couple of turns, and then I attacked Florida and took Florida basically out of the game with a couple of well-placed attacks. Took their capital, took a couple of other cities, and Florida was basically done. Now, at this point, I'm cleaning up Cuba. He had some regions in Cuba. I'm cleaning up Cuba. That's it. That's basically what the status is right now with Florida. But Texas had a couple of regions down here and a couple of regions over here, and they had moved across into like Kentucky. So I had to push back and go march on Texas. I had to. I had no choice. I had to do it. Texas has built a shit ton of tanks. So this is one of the things that happens when you have human players. Human players are a variable. The variable that you have with players, yeah, he's building a shit ton of tanks in Odessa. The variable that you have with human players is that they can spend human money to build units. And if they're spending human money to build units, and it becomes a risk. I'm going to take that son of a bitch out. It becomes a risk that they're not, it changes the economics of the game. Because if they're spending human money to build units, then the way the economics changes is it doesn't really matter if you take all of their cities. It doesn't really matter if you take all of their regions. They can just spend $200 and build a shit ton of tanks in Amarillo and Odessa. And now, even though they don't own any cities, they don't have any infantry units, they can't do anything. They can just shell out the cash and build up a whole fucking army. And now you have to fight against this guy who apparently has unlimited money because he's built 1, 2, 3, 4 fucking tanks to fight against me over the course of literally 24 hours. Now, the good news is that he doesn't seem to know what he's doing, because he took his tank, and this is the second principle of things that I want to talk about, your castle defense. He took his tank and he came out of his capital. The castle defense in a strategic game like this is simply you identify the important parts of your nation. You identify the important parts of your position, of your identify the important parts of your setup, and you defend those parts to the absolute death. His critical parts of his country are not Arkansas or Kentucky or Tennessee or New Mexico. His critical pieces are El Paso, Odessa, Amarillo, Austin, for Jesus fucking Christ's sake. It's your capital. These are his important places. The important parts of his entire existence are right there. I came in here with infantry, and he left his capital to chase down my infantry. From Austin, he moved into Gatesville. He chased me across into Weatherford, back down into Marble Falls. And when he did that little loop-de-loop, I took Austin. Took his capital. And after I took his capital, I went and took out one of his infantry. Infantry is the only units on the map that can take and hold territory. So left with at the end of the day is a bunch of tanks and no cities. He's fucked. He can't take any territory back. And if he can't take any territory back, if he can't take his cities back, then all he is a bunch of tanks on the map, and he's done for. He may be able to, I'm not sure how the mechanics of the game work. He might be able to move his tanks into a city. He might be able to move the tanks into the city, make the city rebel, and then revert back to his control. I'm not sure if or how or that would work. But at some point, I'm going to have tanks. I'm going to have tanks. I'm going to have strike fighters. I'm going to have artillery, and I'm going to have it all coming after him. And I'm going to take down his tanks. In fact, the next thing I research is going to be the tank destroyers. I've never built tank destroyers. Requires an Army Base level 2 and Arms Industry level 1, and I have all of that. And I'm going to put together a big batch of tank destroyers, and I'm going to go hunting. And I'm going to take down all of his fucking tanks. Again, level 1 player. Just entered into the game. Probably not his first game, but probably one of his first games. He's a rank 3 now. He started the game at rank 1. I'll take a quick look, real quick, at his game stats. Y'all can't see it, but I'm going to look. He has joined exactly 1 game. This is his first game. His first game in Conflict of Nations. So he's throwing down cash. But that's fine. There's, again, nothing wrong with it. It creates a variable in the game. And when it creates a variable in the game, it makes for an interesting game. It makes for an interesting twist on things, a twist on how things operate. I am not at all opposed to cash boys, cash players, gold bugs. They've got a bunch of different names for them. I'm not at all opposed to those guys. I find it to be a different type of challenge, kind of like the same way as playing a 4X map is a different type of challenge. I am taking a calculated strategic risk that he is collapsing all of his tanks. If he's still building tanks, he's collapsing them all to the east over here. Not realizing, I guess, that he can't take territory with a tank. If he combines his tanks with that infantry unit, he'll be a dangerous, dangerous force. But only so dangerous as one stack of tanks and 1 infantry can be. Because there's a lot of ways to take out. You can use tank killer, or tank killer armor is one way. Here it is. Tank destroyer armor. You can use anti-armor attack helicopters. The Cobra, that's a good one because it just requires components to build, where the tank destroyers do both components and supplies, if I'm not mistaken. No, they're just components as well. They've got more hit points, I believe, which makes them formidable when going up against. They've got 25 hit points versus the helicopters, which have, 25 as well, I'm guessing. Make me look stupid. 20. But here's the thing. The helicopters have limited range because they can only go so far away from airfields. I should be able to. I don't think he's moving that guy. He's waiting, and they're all chasing my units. They're all chasing my unit. Such a fucking infant. Boy, if he ever figures out this game, he might be dangerous. But I don't remember what I was saying. Yeah, but there's ways to take out the tanks. You know, the helicopters are good, but if they get anti-air defenses in their ground units, they take those helicopters right back out. You need a stack of helicopters, like 6 or 7 of them. I think 6 is the maximum you can have an air division stack. And then the other one is with the tank hunter, tank destroyer armor. It just makes for a they're really, really good against. Well, let's see what it says. They're really, really good against armor, but they're really, really shitty against. I think they're good in attack, but they're terrible in defense. I can't. There was something I didn't like about these guys. That's it. They're just terrible against infantry. They're awesome against tanks. They're an 11. Meanwhile, your main battle tank is merely a 8 on offense. And I can't build those yet. Still under. Are they under research? I'm building I can't build them because I am still building my army bases. Now they're almost done. Then I'll be able to. No, not these guys. These guys are almost done. Then I'll be able to build them out. Any day now, boys. Any day now. But here's the other benefit that I'll have when it comes time to deploy my armor. I mass my armor. I stack my armor. So when I mobilize my armor, his single units will be going up against my stacks of 4 or 5 or 6 or 12. No, not 12. 8 is usually the high number that I go to. So I will be able to dismantle him nicely. I thought I was full screen. Damn it. Come on. You don't need to be seeing my face. So what's the story over here with New York, you ask? Well, I'll tell you what the story is with New York. This dumbass decided to attack me in Maryland. So I gave him 24 hours to get the fuck out of my territory. And that dumb idiot did not. So I attacked him back. And I went and took Albany from him, which is his capital. And I am holding on for a little while. And you can see just taking his capital, Hartford is in flames. Plattsburgh is not yet in flames. What else? He's got Port. Nope, that's all owned by Maine. Buffalo. He owns Buffalo. Buffalo's in flames. What else does he have that is in flames? That's pretty much it. That's probably where his units are over here. He was just stupid. He took a little shot at me and he failed. Knucklehead. But while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and take New York. Because I hear it's nice this time of year. So, I'll take it. Albany has been captured. It is at 25%. Morale, just going to give it a day. I'm in no rush. Like, New York is kind of a hobby at this point. I'm in no rush to take down New York. They were dumb. They attacked me. I'll just let it organically progress. I'm not going to devote a whole bunch of resources to it because I've got to worry about this gold bug over here in Texas. That's the real problem. This gold bug is the problem. And I need to make sure that this ding dong gets neutralized. And the best way I know to neutralize him is to take out every single one of his infantry units. He has one more infantry unit up here, somewhere up here. Probably, I think it's in that territory. I can't remember which territory it's in. Somewhere up here. Actually, I know where he's at. He's in the Panhandle because I had the Panhandle and he took the Panhandle. So that's where he's at. So I need to, once I neutralize this ding dong, then I'll send those 2 units off along the border to try and catch him again. And that should be that's his last known infantry unit. Other than this one right here, where it looks like it's just standing around. And if it's just standing around, then we should be good to take him out. Because I think his tanks, because he's just a ding dong, for some reason, his tanks are just going to chase me. And now that they're all in my land, what I need to do is move them in unexpected ways. No, you know what? No. I need to move them here. Where do I need them to go? Shit. I need them to go here. Then they need to go here. Yeah. Because if I have them going through my territory, they can't find them. Except I think this green is their territory. It is. Shit. All right. We're good. So the intent, the idea, the goal was to get them to come around to get this infantry, take care of this infantry and wipe him out. But I don't think that's particularly critical. I need them to get out of Austin before these tanks show up. Because if the tanks show up while they're still there, they're fucked. We can't have that. They need to be one or two steps ahead of the tanks. And this army speed is 0.33. My army speed is also 0.33. So as long as I stay a step ahead of them, that army speed is 0.43. Good. As long as I'm a step ahead of them, they won't catch me. Unless he just has an infinite number of tanks, which is also a possibility. I need to assume that this guy is functioning with infinite tanks. And I need to be nimble on my toes and quick, because if I'm not quick, he will catch me. We can't have that. I cannot have my main army, my primary army, getting caught by a whole shit ton of tanks. But here's the good news. Tanks are expensive. If it costs 2,500 gold to build the tank, maybe 3,500 gold. That's like 2 real life human dollars, which isn't much, $2. But if we're looking at this, he's got $2, $4, $6, $8 on the map right now. $8, 8 human people dollars on the map right now. And that's not counting how much it costs to build the army bases. That's not counting how much it costs to tech up to. He could have dropped $20 worth of gold just to get those 1, 2, 3, 4 army tanks out on the map. Not nothing. That's not a tremendous amount of money. Especially if it's your first game and you're trying desperately not to get knocked out of your first game. But that adds up pretty quick. I'm hoping that this is a guy who doesn't want to spend $100 to survive, to merely survive. Because unless I screw up, I'm going to fight him to a standstill. I grind him down to the point where he cannot do anything other than just be a nuisance. He'd be a horde of locusts and tanks going across the map, wiping out opponents' armor, infantry units. He could do that. He could straight up do that. Hoping not. But this is the thing. When I look at this, it speaks volumes to the to the principle of the castle defense, where what's important. You know what's critical. Your critical infrastructure, and then you focus like a damn laser to defend that critical infrastructure at all freaking costs. You absolutely, positively, 100% do not leave that shit vulnerable. He made, it was a mistake he made. I made him pay. I made the same mistake as far as taking and holding territory in my first game too. I thought I did not realize that I could not hold territory with tanks. Take territory. You can hold territory, but you can't take territory. You can't take territory with tanks. And I did not know that. Take territory, tanks. Tanks take territory. Tanks take territories. Tanks take territories. Tanks take territories. How about that? Tanks take territories. Infantry takes territories. No tank take territory. Tank no take territory. Fuck it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave this map running. So what the idea is, this may be a sacrificial lamb. The idea is that he is going to take out that infantry, and then going to send him then up to this land right there. So first he's going to attack that infantry, which is at full power, but I have higher hit points. I don't have higher hit points. I have higher attack with the Army Recon. So the Army Recon should take him out. And then I'm going to turn around and go back north to meet the only other infantry that I know for sure that Texas has roaming around. And it is up in the Panhandle area. And I expect, if he is the type of person that I think he is going to be sending that guy right through here. And I'm going to smack him with my recon vehicle. Now, $7.55. This will take 2 hours. I need these guys. I'm going to go up to Amarillo. That's good. I need these guys to just, I don't know what I need these guys to do. I need these guys to stay alive. I'm not sure how I'm going to pull this off. Well, I mean, I know how I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to keep them moving. He's probably going to take his tanks and fan them out to try and catch me. All I've got to do is stay away, get to a port, jump on a ship, and get the fuck out of town until those tanks arrive. So yeah, that'll be good. I think I've got this worked out. We're going to go up here. Send them on a little chase. I think that should do the trick. That'll give me 8 hours of action. I'll be able to update all this in a couple of hours to kind of see where he sends his guys. I fully expect them to basically be on my tail and try to chase me down. But he's got 3 of them. He can fan out, go in all directions, and try to cut me off. That's a possibility. If that's a thing that he does, then I'll circle back south and come back through Houston and jump on a boat and get out of town. He can't be all places at the same time, and his units are not faster than mine. So, yeah, we'll be in good shape. I think we'll be in really good shape for all this. So, yeah. So tonight we talked about 2 things. We talked about asymmetrical risk, which is basically the principle that is kind of the same principle here, where, I'm at no risk attacking Texas over here because all my important cities are way the fuck over here, way up here. In fact, he'd have to go through all this to hurt me. I can give him all this territory, all these cities, all this territory, and keep falling back and keep falling back and keep falling back, keep falling back until I build critical infrastructure that allows me to counterattack. This is, by the way, the same thing that the rebel army did in the battle through the Tennessee Valley from Nashville all the way down to Atlanta. They kept falling back, 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 kept falling back. And this was a successful strategy of attrition against the Union forces, against the force of the United States, because their army was being worn down and worn down and worn down, and it was costing them until the point where the Union was seriously going to have to stop the offense until they could get reinforcements, allowing the South a chance to rebuild defenses, reinforce their forces, and mount a counterattack. But the South, the rebel forces, the rebel commanders, got irritated with this constant withdrawal, constant retreat, constant fallback, and decided to replace that commander with an offensive minded commander who then took the fight to the United States forces and got his bell rung. He totally got his ass kicked up and down the side of the valley. And then they had to fall back and fall back and fall back, but they were falling back not in a position of strength, but a position of weakness. And then eventually, not too much longer after that, got overrun by the United States forces, who then took Atlanta and sent the rebel fighters moving further south in a full-on retreat. Shortly thereafter, the Sherman's march to the coast ensued, and by that point, the defeat of the South of the rebel states was inevitable, and they put a good hurting on them, and that is one of the stories, one of the history lessons that we learn when you look at military strategy of how to manage when you're outnumbered and outgunned. There's a way to manage the offense, and sometimes you fight by moving backwards. It's much better to retreat on your own terms than it is to be forced into a retreat that you are that is an uncontrolled, unstoppable retreat. If it is a controlled retreat and you are doing it on your terms, you can always come back to fight another day. I do that in this a lot, where I see that I'm losing a fight, and I'll retreat and pull out in order to preserve those units, reinforce them with another division, or send them back to the to the city that has the hospital, so that they can convalesce for 3 or 4 days, get some hit points back, and then send them back out to the front lines. It's makes much more sense to do that than it does to lose an entire. It costs less time. In 24 hours and a shit ton of resources, you can build a new unit, or you can wait 3 days and not spend any resources and get a whole new fucking unit. Which one are you going to do? I mean, obviously, you'll want to wait 3 or 4 days and get a new unit. I mean, this isn't complicated. So I've got a bunch of level 2 army bases. This is where I'm going to come out with my armor. In fact, also where I'm going to come out with my tank destroyers. I've got a bunch of level 2 army bases here, but they're in cities that have not been annexed. So that is going to be probably the next project that I take on, is going to be annexing a bunch of cities. There'll be strategically important cities that are producing the right resources. Tallahassee is a strategically important city that has a where the fuck is Tallahassee? A's, W's, there's Tallahassee. Tallahassee produces an important resource, and why the hell am I annexing Tallahassee exactly? Electronics. I shouldn't be annexing Tallahassee. That's stupid. There's a bunch of cities that I should be annexing. And the cities that need to be annexing are cities that have important resources, like supplies, like components, like rare metals. These cities, there's not very many of these cities, so we will be annexing all 4 of these cities, starting with Fort Myers and working our way up. All 4 of these cities will get the annexation order. Now, check this out. is another feature of the game. This is what I was talking about with the gold. You can like build, you can buy your facilities with money. This, I want to annex these 4 cities, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have the money for it. I can go ahead and tell it to start, and it'll say, hey, you don't have the money for this, but it would cost you 19,961 gold. 19,000 gold. Tell me then, how much is 19,000 gold pieces? I'll tell you how much 19,000 gold pieces is. If we go look at the market, 25,000 gold pieces cost $10. So for 10 human dollars, 10 people monies, I can go and annex 3 cities. Or I can wait several days for the resources to be generated by my economy. And that would actually take about 13 hours for Fayetteville, a day for Columbus, and 2 days for Fort Myers. So it's about, let's see here. Lynchburg, they'll be building that in 2 days, 2 days, 2 days. So Lynchburg, Fredericksburg, Charlottesville, I'm pretty sure they are building Lynchburg. It is building an air base. Yeah. Lynchburg, Fayetteville, and Charlottesville. What we got in Fayetteville? Charlottesville also. Yep, building an air base. And Fayetteville. Oh, why aren't you? Fredericksburg. That was the other one. I'm not perfect. See, also building an air base. Okay, so I'm also building air bases to tech up to bombers. So what will happen is I'll have a fleet of bombers coming out so that I can start just obliterating my opponents. And I will start doing that in very, very short order as well. So it is 11:40. We've been going at this now for, how long have we been going at this? A little bit over an hour? Just at an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this scenario in Texas kind of play out. See what happens over the course of the next hour. This guy is going into Austin. This guy, how long to attack him? Okay, so within the hour, he's going to attack that Jamoke. That's fine. I want that to happen. The reason I want that to happen is these guys are really good against infantry. Really good against infantry. And I need to take out every single one of this dude's infantries. Because if he does not have infantry, and I have taken all of his cities, he cannot take his cities back. And that is key to making sure he is defeated. If he can't take back, he can't build more units. If he can't build more units, then he is no longer a threat. And I can slowly, I can build up my armor. I can build up my anti-tank defense. I can build up my bombers and bomb the shit out of his tanks. He becomes a nuisance and he ceases to be a threat. So that's why taking out that is critical. And it appears that all of his armor is moving to Austin. That's moving to Austin. That's moving to Austin. That's fucking perfect. That is absolutely fucking perfect. How was that? Some ASMR stuff? AMSR? ASMR? Auditory, sensual. What does ASMR stand for? ASMR. Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. Maybe I should do some ASMR videos. Would you like if I did some ASMR videos? Apparently, they smack their lips a lot. I find this to be really off-putting. What about you? is. Maybe I should run it across my chin. Does ASMR do it for you? I will not be doing ASMR videos. That shit annoys me. No, I won't be doing any of that shit. But I will be leaving this to play out in this little Central Texas arena to see if my gambit works. If I can neutralize his infantry and get my infantry to a safe place, and let his armor chase me all over the goddamn map. We'll see. I mean, I'm not sure what he's up to. I'm fairly certain he's a gold bug, and I'm going to I'm just going to let this play itself out. I am going to spend some gold here on San Antonio to pacify San Antonio. I am also going to do the same thing with Dallas to pacify Dallas because I don't want those cities rebelling on me. Houston is happy. I like Houston being happy. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to do the same thing with Austin. I'm going to make Austin happy. For now. I don't know if that's going to stay happy because if he turns and sends that infantry unit into Austin, I lose the city. And if he keeps those tanks with him in Austin, then that's not helpful. But Austin is also a fuel city, and he's not making the money he needs to build units. But again, if he's dropping cash, and I just dropped like 75 cents, something like that. 5, 10, 15, 1500 out of that's maybe a buck, 75 cents to a buck, just to pacify those cities, calm them down, stop them from rebelling. I find that to be a modest and judicious use of coin, which allows me to it frees up my infantry and armor to do other things. So I didn't have to go out and build units to garrison these which would have been much more expensive to build units to garrison these cities. I was able to just drop, a little bit of coin to garrison those cities and then move on. So we will. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this scenario play out. I'm going to pack a bag for my trip in the morning, freshen up my cocktail. I've had 2 in the last hour and change while chatting with y'all. And we are going to observe what happens when you fail to adhere to the principles or you fail to acknowledge the principles of asymmetrical risk and castle defense. And I'll be back in just a few short shakes of a squirrel's tail. Cheers, boys and girls and kids of all ages. So I just realized that this is running in like complete fucking silence. Um, but I can fix that real quick. Watch me. Watch me fix it. First, I just stop sharing. And then I start sharing again. Woo! That's bright. With audio. Booyah. Put that on so I don't assault y'all's eyeballs. Yeah. All right, look here. I'm looking, poked in to see how it's going. It would appear that my stratagem has worked. I am kicking the shit out of his infantry. 10. I've taken him down to 10. He is in Austin. Totally skipped going to defend his his infantry. He is waiting in Marble Falls. That's good. Now, it is possible I could take on one of these tanks because my attack against armor is 11. And my defense is 13. His attack is 12 and defense is 10. So I might be able to take them on. And maybe if I add that recon battalion, I might be able to take on one armor unit. But if I take on this guy and then he turns this guy around to come and defend, I can't. I mean, he'll wipe out my entire force. So I need to avoid these guys, is what I'm saying. And as long as he decides to chase after me, I should be good. I should be real good. I think I've got him. And in 42 minutes, this infantry unit is going to get wiped out. That's going to be cool. I can't attack. I can't attack him at all. You will do no damage to these units. It seems like a pile of suck, if you ask me. I don't see why I can't be doing damage to those units. Those units are just idiots crossing my river like they belong here. Who do they think they are? They don't belong in these parts. We're going to capture a few regions here around Albany. Be 14 hours, so we'll be back at 20. Is it 2020 or 2023? I guess we'll be back at 2023. That'll be fine. Okay, so I turned the audio on. Sorry about that. I didn't realize this was just playing in complete silence here in the background. We're gonna go pick off New York City. I'm just gonna, slowly work my way through New York. I'm in no real rush to deal with the Northeast right now. Texas has my attention because of the dicey. I'm outgunned. He's got me outgunned with the tanks. He's doing a relatively good job of defending his homeland here. because he's got me outgunned and he's just got the tanks swarming all around. He's just made a strategic error. Uh, that happens when you're trying to punch out of your weight class. I'm kidding. I don't want to sound like an arrogant jackass, but I mean, is it really arrogance if I just flat out beat him? Um, he made a strategic error. Part of the error was that he just uh, punched up out of his weight class. The other part of the error is that he spent a lot of money and resources on tanks, and he needs infantry. Uh, he spent money, teched up, um, to try and beat me in an arms race. When it's you know it's, we've seen it time and time again in real life that a guy who is outclassed with technology can beat you with a superior strategy. And I've got him whooped on superiority. 9 ways till Sunday. Did I mention happy 4th of July? I did right at the beginning of the show. Um, and as is tradition in my household on Independence Day, we read the Declaration of Independence. Um, and today is no different. The Declaration of Independence reads, starting from the top. Let it drop. Got some wop. No, I'm kidding. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitled them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. This is an important sentence because this sentence is basically stating what they're doing and why they're doing it. What are they doing? Well, they are declaring their independence. They're taking their station, their independent station, separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. Why are they doing it? Well, because sometimes in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve those bands which have connected them with another and to assume the powers of the earth. And then why are they setting forth? So what's the point of this writing? Well, a decent respect for the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes. And then what's probably the most consequential sentence written in the history of the United States, establishing the foundation on which this country was built. Hold these truths to be self-evident. Not, it is our opinion that, not we find that, not that we believe, but that we hold these truths. These things are true. These things, these basic fundamental facts of the universe, like gravity, like the existence of atoms, the march of time, these truths to be self-evident. That is, they are not revealed by any man. They are self-evident. Any man can see them to be because they are truths and they are self-evident. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, not citizens, not landowners, not white men, not male men, not female men. All men are created equal. that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Unalienable being a very important term. Unalienable meaning they cannot be separated, all men who are created equal. They're not endowed by our government. They're not given to us by man. They are not granted to us by our neighbors. They are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. We hold these truths to be self evident that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their certain unalienable rights. And among these are, not all of them, but among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is only three that are detailed in this document. There are others, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to secure these rights, this establishes the validity and necessity of government. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Governments are established in order to secure the rights of man. Men are created equal, they are endowed with unalienable rights, and governments are established to protect those rights. That is the government's job, to protect our rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They and that the government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter and to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate the governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than themselves by forms which they are cut, born a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design. Uh, I skipped a couple of lines there. I am reading this. This is not all from memory. Earlier, I did it from memory. Um, I completely lost the train. And to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established shall be changed to mankind disposed to suffer the usurpation, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government, to provide new guards for their future security. The first two sentences of this document are three sentences, depending on how you break up the second sentence, are the most crucial, the most fundamental, the most foundational sentences to the establishment of this nation. We hold these truths to be self evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to secure these rights are instituted among men, deriving just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter and abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. This is why assaults on voting rights are such despicable things. Our government is intended to secure it be established by the validity of from the consent of the government. Our government is valid. Our government exists and has legitimacy because it gets the consent of the governed. Whenever you have a government that is based on minority rule, that is derived from the suppression of the voice of the people, that is that that is established by rejecting the voice of the people, and is created in order to maintain a minority party in a position of power, your government loses legitimacy, and it happens all over the world. You have governments that are established as a minority rule government. Uh, Apartheid South Africa was one of those glaring examples. Um, Iraq, that was a minority government that was ruled over its people with an iron fist. The government in Afghanistan, when it was the Taliban, all across the map, you'll see countries that have governments that are just illegitimate because it is a small percentage of the people that lend the legitimate government. They don't derive their consent, or they don't derive their authority to govern from the consent of the governed. They derive their authority to govern by excluding the consent of most of the population. And that's no way to run it. That's certainly no way to run a democracy. That's how they do things in Iran. That's not how they should do things in the United States. Assault on voting rights are despicable and gross. And for years, century or more, that's how this country was run. And that is not how I want my kids to grow up. I don't want them to grow up in a country uh, where they do not have a legitimate government. They are not. Uh, their vote is not respected. Happy 4th of July, Moose Cow. Good to see you back. We're watching the scenario in Central Texas play out as I set it up. I'll get back to my monologue in a second. But what we've got here is one final infantry unit. I think he has 3 total infantry units. He has this one. He has one up in the Panhandle area up here, and he has this one over here. When I take out his infantry units, he will no longer be able to hold, and he'll no longer be able to take territory. He has 2 more unit building cities, Odessa and Amarillo. He appears to be throwing a prodigious amount of gold at his problem. Gold being the proxy, the in-game proxy for human being money, dollar bills or yen or whatever currency you currently have in the country that you are residing in. So he has built, as best I can see, in a very short amount of time, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if those tanks cost $3,500, 3,500 gold to produce a single tank, I don't know what the number is to produce a single tank, but it's not insignificant. That money, human money cost is $2. So he has spent at least 1, 2, 3, 4, $8 in human money cash, and possibly additional money on top of that to build out the infrastructure to make. So we'll look over here at Odessa in West Texas. He's got level 2 army base and a level 1 arms industry, which is what it takes to build a tank. Let's say it costs $1,500 or 1,500 gold to get the resources to build that, and then another couple thousand to hurry up the build. So let's say he's dropped 10,000 gold. Uh, that's still like $20. Yeah. If I'm and here's what happens when you run up against a player who's a gold bug. Um, it throws a variable into the game and it changes the economics. I can Still, if he has infinite amount of money, there's no way I can beat him. But if he has a finite amount of money, a superior strategy will still beat him. And if his strategy is to flood the channel with tanks, all I need to do is destroy his infantry. Then he can't take territory. And he can throw as much money as he wants at building units. If he doesn't hold a city, build the units. He has to have a city in order to build the units. So, that said, all I need to do is keep his units busy chasing me because they can't catch me. They operate at the same speed. So his tanks can't catch my stacks. If I can go take the cities and bring the cities down, then he ceases to be able to operate and build new units. And it looks like he's building units in Odessa, and he may be building units in Amarillo. Amarillo it's set up to build. So if I can stop him in those two cities, I can stop him in his tracks, and he is finished. So that's the current strategy right now. I'm attacking one of his last 3 infantry units. This one right here. Once he's finished, I will turn around, bail, back up to North Texas, where I know he has one more infantry unit that is severely damaged. He has this infantry unit coming out of the water that will meet 2 infantry units on the shore, and they will get their asses handed to them in very short order. But what we are watching play out here is my infantry commander is moving to Odessa.
Moving to target.
Affirmative. Along with, oh no, shit, no, stop. Nope.
Moving to target. Affirmative.
He almost did a dumb thing. Can't have that. He is going to Odessa.
Affirmative.
He is going to Odessa. And the third one is also going to Odessa. I'm nervous about sending them all to Odessa on the same path, because if he has tanks heading east from Odessa, in fact, I'm not going to send them all on the same path. I'm going to send this guy
moving to target
on a slightly different path. Well, he can't go on a different path. He has to go through here.
Affirmative.
Then he can go up to Odessa. So even if the other 2 get caught on their way west, motherfucker.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
All right.
Affirmative.
I want him to go on a slightly different path. And then I'll move that stack up to Amarillo. But I don't want them to get caught on the road. That would be bad. But I'll leave that there so we can watch this play out over the next... Shit, it's going to take 5 hours. Oof. I ain't going to be up for 5 hours, boys and girls. It's 14. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. That little detour added 3 hours to the trip, I guess. All right, he's going to be
moving to target.
It's not that important.
Affirmative.
Keep going.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
They'll be fine. Anyway, this holiday, July 4th, it's important to me. It's important to my family. I love I'm committed to ensuring that the future of my country is taken care of, because I have children, I have a business, I have children, and I hope that my children have children. And I hope that the nation we are building for them uh, I hope that the nation we are building is respectful to the sacrifices that my grandparents, great grandparents, my parents all made to help build a future for me and my kids. Um, I've often been critical of my parents' generation because the two generations that came before them, I've said this so many times. The generation that went off to World War One and came was the generation that was in power when we went off to World War Two and sent the quote unquote greatest generation off to war. They were the ones that established the GI Bill, uh, pulled us out of the Great Depression, um, did so many things. Of course, they sent us into the Great Depression, but they pulled us out of the Great Depression, did the Public Works Corps, the CCC, all the things that pulled us out, the policies, the decisions that were made to help pull us out of the Great Depression and steer us through the war. The greatest generation was the ones that actually carried the guns and shot the bullets that won the war and pulled us out. The first Antifa, the first anti-fascist, that greatest generation. You know, it was there. They came back from the war, established the policies that ended Jim Crow, that ended segregation. That it was the those two generations, that greatest generation and their parents, that established the policies. Um, it was the boomers that were marching in the street, and they were on the front lines. They were the ones fighting the fight of the Civil War battles. But it was that greatest generation that established policies. It was that greatest generation that did so much to undo the discriminatory history and the racist history and the racist policies that were doing so much harm to our country. And then over the course of the next 40 years, and this is where I was critical of my parents' generation. Over the course of the next 40 years, that boomer generation that marched in the streets for civil rights, that marched in the streets for equality, that marched in the streets and fought the fight to make the reality of every man, woman, and child being judged by the content of the character, not the color of their skin. They spent the next 40 years betraying all of that vision. They spent the next 40 years undoing Medicare, undoing Social Security, undoing civil rights, undoing voter rights, undoing all of the things that were set in motion and all of the things that greatest generation, the policies and procedures and the path that we were on. They spent the next 40 years undoing it all. And the even more disappointing thing is that because it was such a large cohort in the population, they held back the next generation from taking their place. So it wasn't just 40 years, it was 60 years. And then they poisoned a good significant chunk of the next generation because the despicable pieces of shit that were out there on April or January 6th, that wasn't boomers. It's very disappointing to state that was my generation of people. 40 something, 50 something aggrieved white men that have been poisoned by the boomers that came before them. There's enough of us that we the rest of us have to look to the next damn generation, the next two generations, to help us fight the fight, to carry it on, so that all men are created equal and perceived as equal and treated as equal. That was started so many years ago, carried forward, and then suspended for 40, 50, 60 years from the end of the 60s into the hell into the 20 teens. So that was what, 50 years? 70s, 80s, 90s, aughts, teens. It's 50 years. And they finally undid the Voting Rights Act. And then all the southern states started rushing to do voter restrictions. I mean, it's not enough. Well, the system works well enough that when these disgusting laws go against the courts or go up to the courts and the courts review them, they strike them down. But the damage is still done. It doesn't undo the damage. It's the clock back. And then they try again, and they try again, and they try again, and they try again, and they try again, until eventually they figure out how to argue the case in a way that cuts through, and the courts have to throw up their hands and say, yeah, they follow the law. I mean, it's not a racial gerrymander, it's a politics gerrymander, and they're allowed to do that, I guess. So then people don't get to vote. And that immediately runs counter to the founding principles of this country. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving just powers from the consent of the governed. And if the governed are not able to give their consent because their vote has been suppressed, then the government does not derive just powers. Let me say that again. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And if the governed cannot give their consent, if the government suppresses the ability of the governed to give their consent, then the government no longer derives just powers from the governed. The government is now ruling, not governing. And our government is not established to rule. Our government is instituted among men and derives its just powers from the consent of the governed in order to secure the rights that are unalienable and endowed by their Creator to all men who are created equal. And among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's not all of them. That's not an exhaustive list. Among the rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So foundational, so fundamental to who we are as a people. So absolutely fundamental to who we are as a people. It's not even a governing document of an establishing philosophy of the United States of America. A declaration from the United States. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Self-evident. That all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive to those ends, it's the right of the people to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to avert happiness. Our government doesn't give us rights. Our government is established. It's an agreement between us, fair-minded fellow citizens, a brotherhood of the republic. We say to each other, we will send representatives to create laws to protect our rights. I don't need you across the cul-de-sac with an arsenal of guns to protect my rights. I need you to go to the ballot box and vote on decent, reasonable people to go and represent us and craft laws to protect our rights. Not to hand them over to some fucking company who will take them away from us. Not to hand them over to some fucking vigilante with an arsenal of fucking weapons. Not to hand them over to some private enterprise to manage our public assets, but to craft laws to protect our rights. That's the government's job. That's all they have to do. That's their principal primary job. I don't think that's too much to ask. I don't think that's too much to ask at all. I'm not asking my government to rule over me. I don't want my government to rule over me. I want my government to govern. That's it. I want them to govern, to do that which they have received consent to do from the governed, and that is to govern. Manage the currency. We need that. Manage interstate trade. We need that. Raise an army. Collect taxes. You know, those are the functions, those are the administrative functions of any government that runs a nation, that governs. That's kind of the definition of governing. And, you know, to maybe put some limits on corporations as to what they can do to me. That'd be nice. That falls under the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness thing, doesn't it? Make sure that corporations can't require me to wear a fucking chip to walk freely in my neighborhood. I mean, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. There's nothing stopping a homeowners association to saying, you know, we need you to wear a chip to confirm that you're a resident of this condo complex. You know, you can't enter in without the chip. I mean, that certainly should be considered an invasion of privacy, right? Oh, you don't have to live in that facility. No, we don't have to live in facilities are doing it. Well, where the fuck are we going to live? In a tent? Under the bridge? Come on. Of course, that's some sci-fi shit there. That's a hyperbolic example. I mean, I don't think it's asking for much just to ask the government to govern and not rule. You know? And I think for the most part, most folks out there in the United States, most people in America are mostly in agreement on that matter. I don't think, I really, deep down inside, I don't think Americans are polarized. I think American politicians are polarized because they don't have to agree on shit because of the filibuster. But I think for the most part, and this is one of the things that I love most about July 4th, is this is the thing that we get to remind ourselves about, is that we, the people, your brothers and sisters, your fellow Americans, your brothers and sisters of the Republic, we mostly, I think, the same thing. We want to be able to spend time with our family. We want to be able to retire comfortably. We want to be able to engage with our community, and we want to work. We want meaningful work. I think for the most part, we want those things, and that all falls under life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we hold these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed with certain unalienable rights, and among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think most of us want that. We want our life, which includes our civic life, that includes our home life, that includes our work life. We want our liberty, which is to be able to say and do that which we believe in, to be able to uh, change jobs at our leisure, to be able to live where we want to live, to be able to travel where we want to travel without having to show our papers. We want to be able to speak freely and write freely and think freely. Um, and you know, our pursuit of happiness, which includes, I think, again, our uh, civic engagement, our neighborhood engagement, our engagement with social groups as we see fit, uh, desire to pursue music, any kind of music we want, to be creative if we choose, and engage in meaningful work, not be forced to uh, work in the field that our forefathers worked in, or two fathers, or six fathers, however many fathers you have. Ha ha ha! I'm a fucking comedian. To be able to change jobs if we want to change jobs, not be forced into indentured servitude or slavery, not to be forced to work a job because you owe money that was heaped upon your shoulders at the time of graduation, that you're free to pursue happiness. I think most Americans want that. I think most Americans, to the tune of about 60 to 70, maybe even 80% of Americans want that. I'm sure there's some nihilistic Americans out there who are just like, fuck it, I think I should be unhappy, and they don't care. But that's one of the things that I love most about Independence Day, July 4th, is that we're reminded of these things that make us Americans, that make us unique, and that makes this experiment so fucking special. That we hold these truths to be self-evident. All are created equal, and they are endowed with unalienable rights from their creator, and among those rights include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And by God, if your pursuit of happiness is not having a child in your 20s and putting it off until your 30s, or never having a child, then bravo for you. There should be clinics on every goddamn corner to make sure that happens. If it means marrying a dude or a chick, bravo, do it. Go for it. If it means taking a story you own and changing it 50 years after it was released, do it. Your pursuit of happiness is all it's about. Go right for it. I'm all for it. I'm down. Do it. Um, I really, I mean, I'm all for it. You know, I don't think it's a radical thing to be able to say that we should be building better societies and doing better for ourselves and our kids. Um, and it saddens me, bothers me, troubles me deeply that there's a significant portion of our population that has convinced themselves that our government should not be protecting our rights, that our government should be handing more shit over to corporations that are not elected, not representative, and don't give a damn about us. It saddens me a lot to think that there's a significant portion of our population that is okay with people going bankrupt because they broke their leg. I don't get it. I don't understand why that makes sense to anybody. I don't understand why why, how that fits in with our fundamental principles as a nation of all men are created equal, and that they are endowed with the unalienable right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How does going bankrupt when you break your leg, how does going how does dying from the flu fit in with life or liberty? Certainly not the pursuit of happiness. Uh, having to work at a job that you hate because it has health insurance, how is that the pursuit of happiness? That's, you know, suck it up and do what you have to do, son, because sometimes you just have to be in life. Well, fuck that. We're the greatest country on earth and we just have to be miserable. That sucks. Maybe we're not. I mean, if that's the truth, then maybe we're not the greatest country. I don't think that's true. I think we are the greatest country. We are high time we should act like it. Um, I'm going to let this run. It's 111. Make a wish. I'm going to let this run a little bit longer. It looks like we have successfully dodged the armor. It also, I'm waiting to find out the resolution. I've got 12 minutes on the resolution of this first battle. I expect we will see. What this guy's doing over here. Jacking himself off, I guess. Um, I am expecting to see a significant reduction in the infantry's hit points. Memphis. All right, good. He is out of the water. Let's see what's happening. First shot's fired. He is at 6.1. Good. He's dead. He dead. He is not going to make it. Good. Okay, so that infantry is done. And then we can begin our march back across, start taking that property back. Again, not important property, not exactly critical to my it's not critical to me. It really isn't even critical to him. But if I have these two guys running around the countryside here, it creates two more items for him to chase around, and he may keep his armor split up chasing after me while I'm running around the countryside. And that is great for me because the less these guys are massed together, the better a chance I have of separating them and destroying them with a smaller force. It's not always the biggest guns. Sometimes it's the biggest brain that wins this game. And these strategy games, when you're playing against people, uh, sometimes you got to check and see if you're playing against going against somebody who's playing chess and going against somebody who's playing checkers. Um, it appears that this fellow's playing checkers. Actually, he may just be playing Connect Four. He may not even be playing checkers. But because I'm watching. I've watched him make several of the same mistakes that I made when I was a brand new player. And with armor, not making strategic moves, chasing forces out of your cities instead of making the forces come to you. Um, not playing to the strengths of your units, all that sort of stuff. I made all the same mistakes when I was in my first game, and then throwing money at the problem in order to solve it. Also, um, something that I've seen happen on more than one occasion. But to recap what happened from the beginning of this scenario to now, we are Virginia. So I started off as Virginia, attacked North Carolina and Maryland at the same time. Maryland is a non-player position, so I was able to take Washington, D.C., work my way through the region of Maryland, focused all of my forces on North Carolina, big armor stack, came down here, took all the cities in North Carolina. Then, with my second wave of infantry finished up, Maryland moved on to West Virginia. And then by then, the third wave, West Virginia, I started moving into Kentucky. By then, the third wave of units came out, which was a wave of armor. And then I stacked up that stack, and we finished taking down North Carolina and moved into South Carolina and then attack Georgia. Georgia was being attacked by Florida. Florida was, but it was just a mess down here. Texas had moved in through what I thought was uh, to the coast right here in between Pensacola and New Orleans. They had come in, and I thought they had done an amphibious landing and moved up the Mississippi and into Kentucky. But what they had done is they had right of way passage through Florida. They moved up through Pensacola and then up through. So that made me start to think that Florida and Texas were working together. Florida also granted me right of way passage through his land, which basically, as I was finishing up with Georgia, it allowed me to attack Tallahassee. Um, that allowed me to attack Tallahassee and basically take down Florida in a very, very short amount of time. But the attack on Tallahassee was actually quite inadvertent. What had happened was I think there was an attack in Augusta, and it was either Augusta or Atlanta. I think I had gotten into Atlanta, and then they attacked me, and then I backed out, and then I let them like attack whatever was going on here, and then when everybody was neutral, I went back into Atlanta and took the city. But by then the war was on, so I attacked Tallahassee and took down Florida, marched down. I'm cleaning up Cuba right now from Florida and Cuba. Um, but then when I was taking down Florida, I started making my way west to go through Kentucky and Tennessee and across into Arkansas, Mississippi, and into Texas. Texas tried to sue for peace, gave me a ceasefire offer, which I promptly rejected, landed troops in Houston, took Austin. This is where it got interesting. I took Austin, um, moved units up to Dallas, was making my way up here. I had taken Austin, and after I took Austin, all these fucking tanks showed up. Like all of them, like 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks, just boom, they all showed up. And it was over the course of like a day, which leads me to believe the player in Texas is a gold bug, which not a big deal, not a bad thing. But what happens is that changes the economics of the game. That changes the the expectations and interactions. It throws timelines out the window because he can make units appear like that. It costs a couple $1,000s to shrink the build time from 20 now, or couple thousand gold. Um, Maybe cost a couple thousand gold to build the unit itself, get it into the build queue, and then boom, boom, you can knock it out pretty fast. Let me look and see if I can do that with any units. So let's say I'm in Fredericksburg and I want to build the only armor that I can build in Fredericksburg. Let's say, oh, damn it. It's not what I wanted to do. Let's see here. Let me look for something that I cannot build in Fredericksburg. Nope. All right, I can't do it in Fredericksburg. Damn it, because I just accidentally built a recon vehicle. I did not want to build a recon vehicle in Fredericksburg. Thank you. Although it may not be a bad idea to bring out 3 fresh recon vehicles. No, it is a bad idea because I have plenty of them. Let me look to see if Norfolk, I can do something in Norfolk. I can afford everything. It's great. Anything I can't afford that I can currently build. No, no, no. Deployable gear. What the fuck is deployable gear? Deployed in the battlefield. Oh, I know what deployable gear is. Okay, so deployable gear is a robot. Interesting. Let's see here. Charlottesville. Norfolk. Okay, I can do it here with a building, I suppose. Boom, here, Annex City. Don't have the money for it. Cost me $3,500 to do it. That is $2 in real life money. If I wanted to annex that city, it would cost me $2 in real life money, payable through PayPal. So he could have done that with all of his cities, built the level 2 army base, built the his arms industry that it takes to build your tanks. He has me outclassed. Excuse me, when it comes to armor, um, and it probably would have only cost him like $10 in real life money. Um, but it's not a lot of money, obviously. But it kind of throws timelines out of whack. So I normally would have been able to expect it to be 24 hours before a new unit was built, plus the time it takes for him to get his resources together to build it. If he's just going to pump them out, he can have um, hell, he could have 6 tanks on their way to me for the low price of like $30. Um, Hopefully that's not what he's doing, not because of like integrity of the game or anything like that, but simply because uh, I mean, you can't fight that. I'd be fucked. There's no way to fight against if he has infinite resources, infinite money, infinite ability to just pump out tanks. He could send 10 stacks of 9 tanks at me, and I'm done. I can't. I mean, there's no way I can uh, spend money to fight that. Um, but what I can do, if he can to pump out 4 tanks to try and defeat my invading army, I can do the things that need to be done to make it so that he can't fight back, like take out his infantry. Infantry is the unit that that takes land. Um, and as it stands, I've taken Dallas and Austin off of his hands. Three of his, and San Antonio. One, two, three, four. I've taken the whole Gulf Coast Golden Triangle off his hands. That's what we call it. The San Antonio, Dallas, or Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. That's the Golden Triangle. There's smaller Golden Triangles within that, but uh, that is the Golden Triangle region of Texas, and we're actually talking about doing high-speed rail from Houston to Dallas, Dallas to San Antonio, to stop in Austin, and doing just the full Golden Triangle high-speed rail setup. It takes roughly 2 hours, an hour and a half to go from Houston to Dallas by jet. And if you add in security and parking and getting your rental car, it's closer to about 3 hours, 4 hours, because you got to show up an hour early, go through security, um, then get on the plane, taxi out if there's any delays with the plane. I mean, the drive from Houston to Dallas is like 4 hours, and Houston to Amarillo is something like 8 to 10, something like that. It's 13 to go from Houston to El Paso, and just a shade under 3.5 hours to go from Houston to San Antonio. That all said, high speed rail going from Houston to Dallas would take roughly 90 minutes, not have the same security baggage checks and all that other stuff that you have with airlines. All in all, would probably save a couple of hours. Uh, Pardon me, that was yawn. Um, I don't remember what the fuck I was talking about before I went off on that Golden Triangle tangent. Anyway, no, I do know what I was talking about. I've taken his major cities. All he has left is Odessa and Amarillo. Um, Arizona over here is taking El Paso. All he has left is Amarillo and Odessa, and between those two, that's not enough resources for units. He is going to have to, for anything else that he builds, he's going to have to pay American money, human money, people money, anything else. And more importantly, while I'm over here delaying him, uh, I can take a city. I can continue to delay his nonsense that's going on. And while I'm delaying him, I can build my level 2 army bases, which will allow me to build uh, armor units, as well as finish my research on tanks, which will be another 13 hours. And once that research is finished, then I can build out some tanks. Um, so we're talking 13 hours plus 24 hours to build the tanks. So basically, it's going to be Tuesday before I roll tanks out. And then it's going to take another 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours to go from Virginia to Texas. It's going to be Wednesday at the earliest before I can launch an attack against his tanks in Texas. Meanwhile, over that same amount of time, from today until Wednesday, I'm going to be taking as many regions as I can and just generally harassing the shit out of him. What? Um, yeah, to the point where he hopefully will either resign and terminate his engagement with the game because he can no longer win, or um, get really frustrated and make stupid mistakes and allow me to pick off some of those tanks. I really do think that this little gaggle of units would be able to take out a single tank. But I also think that this little gaggle of units would take a tremendous beating, uh, and it might cost me half of my unit. So I don't know if I could take one, um, which would be a problem. Of course, that said, he's stacking up his tanks in Austin. That's not good. That said, though, um, the longer, goodness, the longer I make him chase me, the greater a chance that he makes a mistake. Maybe he splits his units up and tries to chase me down one at a time. Uh, that leaves open the possibility that I can hit him with my tanks. If he's got a stack of 4, I can come at him with an equal number of tanks, several, 3, 4, 5 times. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting to see how this Texas campaign shapes up. I expect by the end of the day tomorrow, when I have taken Odessa and of his hands, he will resign himself to defeat. Um, that's what I'm hoping for, at least, because it'll make it much easier to finish him out. Um, there are other people on the map that are going to be challenges. Arizona is going to be a challenge. California is going to be a challenge. That's why I'm building bombers, because bombers makes your opponents less of a challenge. Turns those cities to rubble real fast. So that's it. I'm going to call it a night. I don't see like this little gambit here in Texas worked itself out nicely. There's still a question of whether or not. Oh! We had an attack. What happened? I'm at 8.3. He is at 7.2. I'm getting the upper hand. It's going to cost me just about everything I've got to take him out. It's going to cost everything this little unit has to take him out. And it looks like it's going to be 3 more hours at least. Of course, in that 3 hours, we're talking 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock. He may figure out what's going on, turn his tanks up, and take me down. It'd be bad. If he takes me down before I can take out his infantry, we're going to have a very bad time. Okay? Be a very bad time. Okay? But now both of my what are you doing? There you go. Attack him. Stop it. You. Attack. Okay. not going anywhere. You're going there. You're going there. You're going there. Good. Okay. And then at the same time, I am dallying around up here with New York because that dude was, and he attacked me. And I'm pretty sure New York is AI right now. So I'm not particularly worried about him. I'll be able to dismantle him slowly over time, one city at a time, few regions at a time. Just kind of slowly pick him down, and then move on to Maine. Move. What do we have with Maine? What's his story? Move on to Maine. Just slowly dismantle my opponents up there. He's just a recruit. That'll be fine. So, got any questions? Anything you want me to try? Anything new you want me to try, or any new country you want me to pick the next time around? Let me know. Put it in comments. I'm going to close this one and then come back to. I want to go back to the Austrian campaign and see what's going on in Morocco. But one more time, because it's the 4th of July, and I love this holiday. I love the music. I love the history and the spirit of the day. I love everything about it. And I'm fully aware that I live in that the stories of our nation's founding are largely myth. But that's how origin stories are. There's the dirty reality, and then there's the mythical story. As long as we know both, we tell both, I think we're doing fine. But we will read one more time the fundamental foundational document that established this country. I saw red. That's not good. Let's see what we got. Come on, give me the map, baby. All right. I think I lost Rabat. All right. Conquered by Morocco. Good, fine. Yeah, that's fine too. Okay, good. All right, let's look down here in Morocco, see what's going on. All right, so we're still moving west with our main army here. Good. Rabat was conquered back. Excellent. Casablanca, excellent. I'm going to go ahead and destroy everything in the map. Everything in Casablanca that I can get rid of. I've already built, army base and the other thing. Got nothing in Tangiers. Good. I'll go check out what's going on with Russia in a second as well. All right, that looks good. Everything is stable in my west, or my east rather, in Africa. Good. Yeah, my army, my tanks are coming into. They're going to be coming into Casablanca. No, the other one. That's good. Over here in Russia, I am leaving the territory that I was trapped in. He is chasing after me. No, he had armies waiting in Donetsk. That's fine. That's fine. He shot down my plane too. That's fine. That's part of what this 77 must be. Good. Rabat was conquered. We knew that. Donetsk, that was the tank. Took out my infantry battalion that was over there. That's fine. Larache, I don't even know what territory that is. I guess that was over there near Rabat. Romney, fine. Everything's fine. And this is, again, back earlier when I was talking about the principle of strategic asymmetry. All this region I can give up. it's not critical. All this regions I can give up. They're not critical. Which is why I'm not trying to hold any of these cities. But when he turns, that's Romani, bin Suleimani. This must be Larash. Yeah. So when he's chasing me through to try and take back his territory, and I'm just going and just wrecking his go along, I'm winning. Slowly but surely, I'm winning because I'm taking out his cities, I'm putting him back, and I'm still building more units. And as long as I'm still building more units, and I have my second army about to come and take his land and take his cities, that second army is going to be the end of him. I've got him in checkmate, and he doesn't know it. But that's good to see. He's got Russia is a little bit troublesome, a little bit worrisome, but I think these guys got him. I think these guys got Russia nice and taken care of. They're going to have it wrapped up, strategically wrapped up fairly soon. They've got two big old stacks coming from France. His army is right here, I believe, Konotop. So, I wonder if I could just grant Russia free passage through my territory. Can I just do that? Be like, I can. This means, that happens. Okay, so what I think that means is when he passes through my territory, he'll just be passing through my territory. Unless he specifically attacks the land. Unless he attacks. Because he's about to lose Moscow. He's got 6 infantry and 3 tank destroyers. Oh, yeah. He's being attacked by 4 tanks and 4 infantry. He should lose. He ought to. I need to get more units on the field. At least in support functions. Let's see what I have being built right now. Shit. Nothing worth a damn. It's not ideal, to say the least, but it's better than nothing. Come on. It's not ideal, to say the least. Let this sit for a minute. Let it sit and ruminate. Got a couple infantry, 1 small armor, and a mobile anti-air unit. That should be good to kind of defend the frontier, but it's not going to be great. Maybe I can get Crimea back. I mean, I never lost it, but he wouldn't ganked it out from under me. Maybe I can get around there and get all this land. Well, we'll see. We'll just see. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I'm hitting the road this morning, like later on today, like in 9 hours. So let's close out one more time with a reading of the Declaration of Independence, the reason for the season, a unanimous declaration of the 13 United States in Congress on July 4th, 1776, reads as follows: when, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes that impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that these rights governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate the governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for future security. Such has been the patient suffrage of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, the Declaration of Independence, the foundational document, the foundational philosophy upon which this country was founded. One of the most consequential documents written in the history of mankind. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it's the right of the people to abolish and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form to them shall seem most to affect their safety and happiness. Brothers and sisters, children of all ages, fellow countrymen, I bid you adieu, good night, 4th of July, and I will see you in a few days. I'm going up in the mountains. Cheers. Be awesome to each other.